talk about this. What is going on here?
Yeah, so, 50 to 100 years from now, we cannot afford to be like the UK, what it has right now, where you only have London as the major economic center, everywhere is struggling.
Yeah.
So what is happening is that Ghana has several areas that it really can create ecosystems of economy that really can build an economy that really will thrive, right? So all I'm saying is that when it comes to these headquarters, right, it needs to be closer to where the economies could actually work, right?
All right.
Ministry of Agriculture, I am proposing that it gets put in the northern region. Why? Some of the largest rice farms are actually up there. Shea butter and a whole lot of stuff that are exported.
So
right?
Send the whole ministry to the northern region.
Send the headquarters to the northern region where people, you have Techiman that's very close to it, right? You have Ministry of Tourism, right? A whole beautiful Volta region area and whatnot.
So send Ministry of Tourism to Ho?
To Ho. You then send Ministry of Energy to Takrady, Minerals Commission to Obuasi, Ministry of Fisheries to Takrady, Ghana Education Service to Cape Coast, where you have probably the most educational institutions and whatnot. But these are some of the things that basically helps.
What will this do?
Yeah.
How will this help?
So one, it creates local economies that actually create jobs in the hinterland, right? Avoiding a lot of people moving to
So which ministry will stay in Accra?
So Accra, you basically have the government sort of Minister of Foreign Affairs, the ones that basically
Ministry of Interior
and whatnot.
Attorney General.
Attorney General, you cannot be looking at doing something with fertilizer and then you get sent to Accra to go and talk about seed, to go and talk about fertilizer.
Agri should be in
Tamale. Tamale, or even half of it could actually be in Sunyani, sort of covering that area, right? The Bono region. So, but this is something that if we don't do, I bet you 50 to 100 years from now, we'll be stuck like the UK, right?
Because Accra is too big in terms of its economic power.
Yeah, it's too big.
Regions.
It's an outside, and it basically does not work for a country that's trying to come out and basically take off and become like other countries that have done that, right?
All right, so the benefits include what you've listed here.
Exactly.
Balanced economic growth.
Right. And it helps you decongest Accra as well, right? And basically, now the trunks of different roads and whatnot and actually have a much more vibrant economy.
All right. Now, you said something about from religion. Okay, before that, you said that number 6 idea is that we should change GNA, that the Ghana News Agency must be strengthened as one of your 10 top ideas.
Yes.
Why Ghana News Agency?
Yes. So think about what has happened to information in this age. Our weakness, the whole world, countries are taking very seriously information and basically all the cyber security problems and all the fact-checking, false information and whatnot.
Yeah.
A lot of the countries, China has its own news agency, Russia has TASS, the US is very good at it, UK has BBC. But what it does is that it helps you actually channel the messaging and really be able to manage your narratives for that country, right? We don't have anything. GNA used to be so good. Now you put up a press release. What happens? You go to Facebook and you see a picture, right? And somebody has a statement. And the guy looks at it and says, I never said that. We cannot run a country like that. We cannot be in that situation. We talk about controlling our own narrative and our own story.
So you think the current media landscape doesn't build trust?
It doesn't. Not at all. It doesn't build trust, because what happens is that you need a centralized, well-funded, that actually has a role of just really keeping the sanity going and allowing news organizations to build on top of it, right? If AP News sort of releases something, Ghana government has to be releasing something. You can't have...
And you think that the Ghana News Agency is the institution that will lead that?
Well, it used to be the institution that was very reputable, right? It has actually run down. My thing is that there has to be something like the Ghana News Agency that everybody respects, right? That other countries respect, that Ghana, at least, you have a news agency that feeds your media and sort of really make sure that things are
Some would say the media landscape has changed, that this is going to be a very difficult thing to do. And this week we're discussing the GNA, and they are really struggling. But let's deal with idea number 7.
Right.
From religious and moral education to civic and moral education. I want you to really talk about this. What do you mean by this?
So here, I always use this as an example that all of us, we know the value in training a child, right? I have the example of, if I gave you a dog, right, and the dog came to your house and wasn't trained, it would destroy your property, right?
Yeah.
And this is what John Dewey talked about democracy. Democracy works because there's a certain type of education that makes it work, that is based on discipline, civic duty, and sort of now the whole digital stuff. In the US, a child from grade 1 would take civics all the way to high school. The same thing happens in South Korea, Japan, the Nordics. So education that actually emphasizes certain core traits is what allows us as individuals to be able to engage in democracy, right? And we are not doing it.
So without that type of education, democracy will not work?
You basically risk having the likes of basically brittle institutions, if you don't take care, you can even have an authoritarianism, right? What happens is that we have an RME. I don't know how many of you have seen the RME syllabus. I have, and I've gone through it. And it actually emphasizes the 3 key important moral people in the society: pastors, malams, and fetish priests.
They are the 3 most important people.
In terms of morality. But the world is not like that. The world, you have to have a world where you're actually teaching your child. Religion, for me, should actually be the hallmark of our churches and mosques and whatnot, and they should do it well. But when it comes to society and democracy, we really need ethical.
So you think RME doesn't do it? What is this? What is this saying?
So this actually showed us to sort of show when you look at civics and sort of expression of values where Ghana lies, right? So this is basically countries that struggle with traditional concepts and secular concepts, and countries that basically struggle with survival and self-expression, right? Where the survival bit is, we are a little afraid and whatnot. And Ghana actually shows up the bottom here, right? Now, this is somebody else's view, but it's a good view because it's somebody's view of how they're looking at all these countries, right? So my thing is that we have to actually get into getting serious about civic education and, in a sense, taking our traditional values and saying, how do we move it forward through time?
I see. So these are very interesting ideas. So what is civic education?
So I propose what I'll call civic and moral education.
Instead of religious and moral education.
Instead of religious and moral education.
Civic and moral education. CME.
Right? CME.
Which includes what?
So emphasizes ethics, citizenship, and leadership, right?
This should be the curriculum for CME.
Yes. In fact, I think if you go to the next slide, I'm not sure, but I think
ethics, citizenship, and leadership.
Exactly. So the 5 core themes that I suggest, basically moral and ethical decision making, citizenship, civic engagement, social media ethics, ethical leadership, work ethics, environmental and social responsibility. Our galamsey and our billboards that are all over the place is a reflection of our relationship with the environment. And that's because we really haven't taught that to our children. So we really don't value the environment as a place where we basically make our living, get our food, and all that stuff.
So there are 5 core themes of your CME.
So 5 core themes
ethics,
of the CME.
Civics, digital, leadership, and environment.
And the environment,
And from what level should this be taught? Primary school?
No, for me, I think this actually is to start from primary school all the way to senior high, but in different levels, right? Such that by the time somebody actually finishes SHS, they would have actually had every year an opportunity to actually engage in that and really understand what it means for you to be a citizen, responsibility of being a citizen, right? You know, that's what you're seeing in the picture. When you see the environment destroyed, these are the people. This is us.
So civics is very crucial.
Very, very crucial. You know, ethical leadership, work ethics. You know, I don't know how to control corruption, but I know this. If the average Ghanaian is well educated in ethics and work ethics, guess what? I'll have better productivity. I'll have decision making. I'll have citizens who literally know how to have civil engagement. There'll be less of fist fights and more of discussions, right?
So this is idea number 7. We should change
Yes.
RME to CME.
Yes.
Let me deal with your 8th idea, which is, as we come to an interesting close, you've discussed, by the way, you are saying if this is done, the 12 traits of an ethical citizen will be these things.
Yeah.
Right? These are the kind of citizens we produce. Okay, cool. Now, we should redefine hometown for modern Ghana. We should redefine
Yes.
a hometown. What do you mean by this?
So every country has this problem, right? Somebody asks you where you're from, and in most countries
You
you
mentioned
say,
where my father is from.
you say where my father is from,
My
and then
hometown.
you struggle with where your mother and your father is from, you know. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, would you want to have citizenship by birth, which is location, or by ancestry, right? Well, if you have citizenship by ancestry, where my mother and parents from, well, you get counted census where?
In Accra. Yeah.
Right? Meanwhile, the place where you are from, they don't have you to be counted. Or you go there to be counted, and then the place where you live, you're chopping the money there, but you don't have the counting. So all I'm saying is that most countries have worked very hard, and I'm saying let's really begin to define on ID cards and whatnot, citizenship by where you were born, Yul Soli, right?
Citizen by where you were
Where
born.
you were born, right? That way, your responsibility lies in where you're born. Most towns, in a lot of places, I mean, you take Barcelona, it was built by people who lived there. You know, our own Columbus, who supposedly crossed, you know, whatever.
Atlantic Ocean.
Atlantic Ocean. You know, he's Italian, but he went and lived in Catalan. And guess what? That's where he built his home. That's where he built, and that's where he helped build it, right?
So we should define your hometown based on where you live, not based on where
you are from.
Why
right?
is this important?
Well, it is important. In fact, if you go to the next slide, I'll show you. So here's most countries where you're born is what, but in Ghana, somehow by ancestry.
Okay.
Right? So that really restricts basically the idea of community, neighborhood, and really being invested in that neighborhood and saying, listen, I live in Accra, I'll participate in Accra, I'll run for mayor in Accra, I'll run for village manager in Accra, I'll run for town manager wherever I was born, right? So that is that clear